In those moments of need where we do most of our learning, that was when I literally okay, embrace this, go with it, run. And so pulling out those tactics were so helpful for me. Hey, my name's Andy Tarczon. I'm a group director of experience strategy at VML. And my job is literally two things. What's the audience? What's the outcome? How do we make sure they come together? I ran across Pip Decks. Oh, that's fascinating, interesting. Holy crap, that's expensive. Am I really going to do that? Like, can I expense that through the company? No. Okay, cool. I'll keep an eye on it. And then I started to realize, you know what? I love the idea of having just these quick card answers. I love to play a card game here or there. And now if I can start to think, let's line up this card to do this and this. And I started to see the value of Pip Decks overall. So I said, okay, I'm going to invest. That was my 2023 present to myself when I started the year. Like, I wanted to have all of these in so I can use them and apply them. I probably did this thing that everyone does first. Like, oh, I got them. Open the deck, started reading them. Cool. Wait, do I really understand this? Yeah, put it to the side. Let it sit there a week. And then I am in the middle of a 3-day workshop on one site, having to run this virtual workshop that was going to be 2 hours in the middle of it. I didn't have time to think. It's 3 a.m. And I immediately said, okay, well, hold on. In typical fashion, when you hear something is changing, it's never, hey, things are changing. It comes in the forms of likes, wishes, or wonders. And it's always a client, I wonder if we could actually achieve this. Well, that was not the goal we set out to achieve. And as we learn in every single project, when you get about halfway, the pivot occurs. This isn't working, or I wonder how we might do it differently to get to this outcome. Well, that wasn't the outcome we'd aligned to beforehand, but by having that conversation and realizing that's really where we need to get to, okay, how are we going to get there? And that's at 3 a.m. We're doing it completely wrong. I literally woke up in a sweat like, oh, I get it. This is wrong. How can I solve this? I'm frantic. I'm reaching for things. I brought the cards in my backpack. Reached into the backpack, pulled out 2 sets, and just started going through. It's like, okay, wait a minute, hold on. The recipe may not have made sense the first time I read them, but when I went in, I'm like, okay, hold on. Let me pull out this exercise, and I'll pull out this exercise. But in that moment, like, everything's laid out. So in those moments of need where we do most of our learning, that was when I literally, okay, embrace this, go with it, run. So I changed the entire Miro board we were using at the time. So let's bring in this, and used an entire card and solved that interim step that got us from point A all the way over to point B and C and beyond, so that in the workshop, we could ideate to the point where we could say, okay, now we have enough to go forward on our actual solution. And so pulling out those tactics were so helpful for me. What it did was it gave me an answer. And really in my head, I probably may have known that answer, but I needed the light bulb moment that the card brought me.
That's amazing, Andy. I'm so happy about that story. That's so great. In your experience, how does this compare to like the way that people normally learn about things, like courses, books, etc.? What's it like working with the deck compared to working with these courses and books?
If I'm thinking about Pip Decks in general, I think about it as learning in the flow of work. If you think about how humans learn, 10% of our learning is formal, structured. 20% of our learning comes from actually interacting, talking to others, learning. And then 70% actually comes from doing the work itself. And so my story earlier around not understanding Pip Decks at first glance and not really dedicating is that 10%. Here's a structured side I don't quite understand because I don't have an area to apply it. Once I'm in the application session, I can pull out like, recipe works here. That is how it has helped me really dive into learning, absorbing, and then applying, because all of that learning is happening while I'm actually doing the work and trying to solve the problem. Understand what parts of your job involve strategy. We don't think about that, but let's define the core strategy and then get down to the tactical execution. Do we know what we need to understand? Do we have the right team? How do we guide ourselves through that? What decisions do we have to make? What's the impact of those decisions? That strategy setup guides everything we do. Strategy may be a very small portion, but guidance and consideration around the framework for that strategy is where something like the strategy deck can actually come in and help us.
What's your favorite strategy tactic?
One of the ones that I use a lot is, what if we closed up shop? And so if we close up shop, understand what is the impact? Because let's admit it, sometimes the work we're doing, it may not be that impactful. And it's asking the right question, like, hey, if we all took our ball and went home and ended the game right now, does that really make a difference? And so I love that question. within it, just because it lets me say, yes, what we're doing has value. It is worthwhile. We're not wasting resources here. We're not wasting anyone's time.